Well, I have a public service announcement that
Oh,
I'm going to mention that
okay.
I believe I've mentioned on Film Banter, but I'm going to mention it again anyway because it's one of my biggest pet peeves, and it happened to me again recently. And I know you've heard me talk about
Oh
this.
no, it happens again.
Yeah, one of my biggest pet peeves, I should say. It's not my only one, but let's say you're standing in a line. We'll use we'll use Chipotle as an example because there's always a line in Chipotle.
That's
You-
true. There always is
yeah.
one. Yeah.
You go all right. Any line though. Standing in
They have
line.
to be a food line or any. I mean, like a line for food or a line for.
No, it could be any line.
Okay, any line.
It could
All
be
right.
any line. Yeah, this could happen any line.
So if I'm in the line for a bathroom, in a line for postage stamps.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
This could apply to any of them. Yeah, even an amusement park. I would say.
Yeah,
I would
those
say.
are long lines.
Oh
It
yeah,
can
I
be.
can't imagine that. I haven't been to one in a long time, so that'd be my nightmare if this happened at one of those. But so if you're standing in line, you're in the back. Always leave enough distance, right? But then someone comes in behind you. 98% of the time, they stand way too close to you. That's my first issue. And
You don't like a close talker?
well, that's a side one I was going to mention. That's another thing. You can kind of do the same strat that I do with this for a close talker as well. So what I'll do is because if you inch forward, they will also inch forward.
Mhm.
There's no getting out of it.
Because they're like, hey, it's moving. Let me
I know
move.
they think it's moving, but it's not. You're just moving up a little bit. No
get
one
away
else has
from
moved.
them.
Exactly. No one else has moved. So what I'll do then, because this happens to me so much that I'll put my one foot out and then I'll kind of lean. So my foot is still in my spot where I originally was at,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll kind of just lean forward. So I'm kind of just like,
Yeah.
leaning forward a little bit. And then I have more space, and then they don't. This is the only way I figured out how to work around this. Because then they don't move because they think,
Yeah.
you didn't actually move both your feet. So that's my way around it. But it bothers me so much that this is the only way I figured it out. So you can do the same thing if there's a close talker that you're interacting with. I'll do the same thing.
Keep 1 foot forward.
Yeah,
and
I'll
step back.
just kind of lean back, and I didn't actually because they'll do the same thing. They'll keep walking forward to you if you
Oh, yeah.
step back. So you just do the lean, and your 1 foot's still in your original spot, and there you go. So if anyone wants to know, that's the only way I've navigated around this. But it happens to me a lot, but it just happened to me the other day again, and it's frustrating. So everyone, just don't do that. Just leave enough room.
Give people space.
Yeah.
You'll get there eventually.
Yeah. So there you go. If you need help in that situation.
Hey, welcome back to Screen Time. I'm your host, Josh, and I have with me today just one co-host, Jared.
Hello.
So today it's just
Just the bros.
the bros.
Yep.
Yeah, we got a little sickness going around, so
A lot of sickness.
so people are not able to join us. We were even going to have another guest for this one, but
Yeah. We're the last holdouts.
yeah, so it was going to be 4 of us on this, and now it's 2.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully we'll do it justice, and you'll
Yeah.
enjoy this episode.
Yeah, we got it.
But we miss the co-hosts.
Yeah, for sure.
So today we're talking about Road to Perdition, directed by Sam Mendes. This movie is from 2002, rated R, an hour and 57 minutes. Like I said, directed by Sam Mendes, writer is David Self. I don't know if did you notice this, but it's based on a comic.
Yes.
Okay.
I did that graphic novel. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the one that wrote the screenplay, because
Nice. Okay. Apparently, though, it's very different than the graphic
deviate in some
novel.
ways.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. There's something I was reading. It didn't. They just said they changed some things up.
Okay.
But And then we have cinematographer Conrad Hall, who is a holdover from American Beauty,
Yeah.
keeping the team together. And I think the same with the composer, right?
Yes. Thomas Newman. Yep.
So, if it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
That's right.
So you won a bunch of Academy Awards. Why don't we just keep the band together and do it again, right?
Did this win again?
It won for Best Cinematographer.
Mm-hmm.
So as I mentioned, I think last episode, the Conrad Hall passed away in 2003, which even had a dedicated thing at the end of the film.
Yes.
This one. His son actually had to accept the award for him because he was, by the time the movie
Right.
got there
For the award.
and award
Yeah.
stuff. So this was his last feature film that he
I mean,
DP'd. So
I got a lot to say cinematography wise, so he did very well again.
well, it won again. So
Yeah. Well,
so other
there you
people
go.
agree,
Yeah.
and I don't disagree either.
Yeah.
It was a very beautiful movie,
Oh yeah.
and in a very different way than
Very different way. Yeah.
So we got a pretty talented cast here too.
Yes.
So Tom Hanks, Jennifer Jason Leigh, Paul Newman, Daniel Craig, Jude Law, Stanley Tucci, and then Tyler Hoechlin.
Mm-hmm. Hoechlin. I don't know how to.
How do you say? Man. Yeah, I don't know how you say his last name.
Josh is about to not be the holdout anymore. Josh is
Yeah.
Josh is slowly
If I
fading too.
disappear, it'll just be Jared on the
I know.
podcast by himself. Anybody else you notice? Like, those are the people that.
No, there.
There's obviously more people in the cast, but
No, yeah. The only other one I noticed that I really like as an actor is Ciarán Hinds or Kieran Hinds. No spoilers, but he's not in the movie that long.
oh,
But he's I've seen him in a lot of things that I've liked. A lot of TV now that
Okay.
he's done, but another Game of Thrones actor too.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't catch it.
Yeah. He's great.
All right, so our synopsis from IMDb. A mob enforcer's son in 1930s Illinois witnesses a murder, forcing him and his father to take to the road, and his father down a path of redemption and revenge.
It's funny because you were calling it Road to Redemption, which it basically. Remember you were saying that? I'm like,
I said it wrong.
Kind,
yeah.
It kind of. I mean, it makes sense still, right?
Right.
You know,
Yeah, it can. Yeah.
it does play into it. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so overall thoughts. What did just your thoughts on this movie?
Okay, I gotta make sure no spoilers.
Yeah, just general thoughts.
This is another one that I have never seen, and it's another one that I was familiar with the title. Not so much the cover, like we were talking about American Beauty, like that was a very iconic cover. This one not as much, but I've heard this name a lot, Road to Perdition. But I've never seen the movie, and I really, really liked it.
Okay.
It
Nice.
was, I mean, I mentioned this a lot, but I like, if it's a period piece, I'm going to like it more anyway. That's going to elevate it for me a little bit. I really like mob movies too. My main note about this is it's just another great mob movie, and it actually kind of reminded me a lot of The Godfather with some of the interactions and the way things played out. So similar in that way too. But yeah, it was great. I have a lot of stuff to say about all of it.
Yeah,
Score,
okay.
cinematography, we got
All
so,
right.
what about
get
you?
into it.
Have you seen it?
So I'd never seen this movie.
Okay.
I actually wasn't even familiar with it at all.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Had no idea what it was going to be about, and didn't even look it up ahead of time, and just watched it. So
That's the best. Completely blind.
Yeah.
Going in completely blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't love it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And just leave it at that for now.
All right.
Because let's, because I don't want to get into specifics of that. Cause,
Sure. Yeah, we can get there. Yeah.
But yeah. So, all right. So let's talk a little about get into spoilers.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little bit about the plot slash storytelling. What do we? Yes. What are your thoughts about just the story now that we can talk about spoilers?
I'm just looking at my notes. I like the this is kind of this has been a theme in some other movies we've done recently too, but I like the way the movie opens and ends with kind of that same scene.
Mm-hmm.
I like when movies do that, where you kind of see how it starts and how
Kind of comes full circle.
right, yeah, because you think, especially a movie starting that way, it's not actually the beginning events, right? So I like that a lot. But yeah, a lot of the dialogue and interaction, that's what I was saying, remind me of Godfather. And because, well, a big theme is family in general with this movie.
Yep.
Well, I guess I'll wait for that to the end, because I'd have a little bit at least about like overall what we talk about at the end.
Yeah.
I got a little bit. We'll see. We'll see
right.
how I go with that at the end. But yeah, I'm more interested, like, what was it that didn't make this like a great movie for you?
I don't know. There's something that just like never, like, it just didn't quite connect enough for me to care about the characters.
Okay.
I think that's where it didn't get to that level. Like, because I liked, like, again, cinematography, loved that stuff.
Oh yeah.
There's some great shots in here. Like, it was just, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and the set, the art direction, like all that stuff for like the period, all looks great. I liked that it was, not always even, you had the mix where they were in Chicago some, but then also it was like out in like rural areas. So like that was interesting because that felt different. Right. So it was like, I liked a lot of those things, but then there was just something about like watching it, like just didn't quite get, like it's, I don't know how to say it, like say other than just like, I just feel like I didn't quite connect with it. And I don't know why. That it's like hard to know why that.
Do you like these kind of movies in general, though? Do you like mob movies or?
Yeah. I mean, the ones I've seen. I mean, I don't know if I've seen like a ton of them, but yeah, traditionally I do. Like, well, I mean, and this, probably the most recent thing I watched, it wasn't a movie, but was the making of the Offer. The Offer, yeah, that's what it's called.
Dude, that was so good.
And I loved that, and I thought that was great.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, so it just, and again, Stanley Tucci, Tom Hanks, like these are people that like,
it's not like they gave bad performances.
Yeah, right. So it's like I don't.
So I guess it'd be more screenwriting or the director not getting it all out of the actors, but I don't know, because I don't agree with that, because I thought everyone did really well.
I think the performances were good. Yeah. Good. I don't, especially even the kid.
The kid was really good.
And
yeah.
I mean, and that's not. I mean, that's tough. Like, right?
Yeah. And he had a lot he had to do in this too. Yeah. It's in the whole thing.
So yeah, I mean, and I like the idea of it, the story. Like, there was just something that didn't connect enough for me to like really feel the things I should be feeling watching it.
Okay.
And then it didn't love it.
Okay.
And I mean, if I saw the rated, I would give it like a 7 or 8. Like, then I'm gonna like say it's like a 5.
No, yeah.
But like, I could see because all the other stuff is so well done that like, if I probably would have connected with it, it would have made it like a 9, right?
Yeah.
So, which is probably what it's for you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's pretty high. Not like. I mean, it's not American Beauty,
right?
But that was like almost perfect. We were talking about like but it's still high up there. That is one thing I actually wanted to talk about. Is like for Sam Mendes, it's like, man, trying to follow up American Beauty
Right.
in any way. It's like, especially that as your first feature film, and then whatever you do next, it's like that's got to be a lot for him. Like a lot of pressure. Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of pressure, right? Which is probably why at least you do something different, like a period piece.
Yes.
At least takes you like a distance it from at least the genre, right? Like you're changing up genre, so that like makes it at least not like, it's not like you're trying to do a sequel, right?
Right, and we know he likes doing these though, right? Because we've already talked about there's a couple others later on that are also period pieces. But I think you're right though. Like looking through all the ones that we're going to be covering, I don't think he really does the same style or genre like in a row. Seems like he goes pretty different. Yeah, because even the next one's a war movie. So
which, like, in contrast to like Danny Villeneuve doing like sci-fi and then sci-fi.
Yeah,
sci-fi.
Yeah, he loves sci-fi. Yeah,
which is great. I mean, he's
because he's
killing
very
it. He's killing
he is.
it,
Yeah, we need people like him. For
one
sure.
thing I forgot to mention: this is an $80 million budget versus like the other one, American Beauty was like 15.
Whoa.
So
okay,
but I think it was. So I know American Beauty was shot on a lot and on sets, right? And so they didn't have to like really go anywhere. And that I think was shot all like in location in like a small town. And,
and then what we always talk about period pieces.
and then of course all the extra costs and,
and
like the props and stuff a lot more because of the.
Also, I would say because we have, especially not all. I mean, there's a lot of casts that probably had to get paid pretty well, but I would say especially like we have like one of the biggest actors of all time, like from back in the day in this. And this is like one of his final movies, I want to say, Paul Newman. Like, so I imagine he probably wanted a lot for it. So like, because I was looking, I want to say he passed away like maybe 5 years after this movie or so.
Right.
So I don't know how much he really did even after this movie. Probably not much.
Right.
But I mean, he was one of the biggest actors around like the Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think, but he still obviously went all the way through, but I would say he was probably the most popular right in like the 60s and 70s, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what, I guess that could kind of get sidetracked, but yeah, what's, what do you think, thoughts of the story do you have?
I mean, I don't have too many like story notes.
Yeah.
Actually, mostly what I have is about cinematography and score, but I'm just thinking there is a couple things. Let's see.
So while you're looking.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I was like reading up on, so the comic, the graphic novel, whatever, like the guy wrote that, he basically said like this is an homage to the Lone Wolf and Cub storyline, which is, you can kind of see that, right?
Yeah.
And so thought that was, like at least the once they hit the road is kind of when that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But it's I've never actually read that, so I don't know.
I haven't either, but I mean,
but people reference it all the time.
Yes.
Including Mandalorian is supposed to be similar to that too, like with the
very much so, yeah.
So, but but the other story, I mean, it's a I mean the synopsis is, but like here's an example. I feel like we didn't get to see enough of his wife and the other kid
I agree with that.
to care enough when they died.
Yes.
And then he was furious and upset, or like gonna upturn his whole career and family, like
right. Well, I mean, and I agree. Yeah, we didn't get that much of them at all, but at the same time, you don't really need that because you understand anyone if their wife and kid was killed, you would, so it's like you don't need a whole lot to understand why he then went on his whole
his journey.
his whole road
His road trip.
His road trip. Yeah. Well, also, once he realizes who killed
Yes.
them too. I mean, that's a whole nother thing. But
Yeah.
I one thing that I would say, probably the only thing that it's still a very good scene, but it was very predictable, was the ending, where
Yes.
it's like they're on the beach and they're just happy, and it's like, it's not. This is
Right.
no way the movies. They kind of make it seem like, all right, there they are.
Yeah. So yeah, that was definitely a thing that bothered me, because I think in general, like there was not like I never felt watching it. I never felt like something. Most of the time I was like, oh, making a stupid decision, other than like the kid going along, like he knew, but that, like,
Right.
But like in general, like I'm not like, oh, why are you having the character do this? That's not very appropriate for the character,
Right.
except for that moment, which then kind of ruins because for him to walk in there acting like and not paying attention because no one was there, like he was one of the better. I mean, he was so aware of his surroundings all the other time that, like, why would he not be suspicious there?
That is true, because also he would still know that, what is Jude Law's character's name? McGuire.
Yeah.
He would know that he's still
Alive.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the only part, because I think everything else was done really well, and even pacing wise, like we talk about that a lot, in like 2-hour movie. I thought it was enjoyable the whole way through. I don't think it really ever kind of dipped at all, because that's kind of the main thing I always think of, is like, even when we're talking about in the show we've been talking about, it's like always seems to be in the middle. If there's going to be a dip, that's where it happens, whether it's a movie or a show. But yeah, that endings, that's the only thing, because and they set it up in such a way. They're on the beach, and I understand the beginning shot is of him on the beach anyway, but it's just him, right? So you already know, like, okay, they're on the beach now here at the end. It seems like, all right, here's the happy ending, but it's like, so that was the only thing that I didn't like as much, because it was so predictable. Like, obviously it's gonna happen, and I mean, and you even know, you're like, yeah, his dad's gonna die now. Like,
Yeah.
none of that was very surprising. There was other points that were done really well, but that scene,
Well, I think it's not, because there's other scenes where you're like kind of have an idea where it's going to play out.
Yeah.
But like I said, like it just felt off from a character standpoint for him, and I think that's why that one stands out more than anything else. Because
Yes.
it's okay for me to know. I mean, like a lot of times, like like a good suspense thing, like you're like, something's gonna jump out, something's gonna jump out, and then that doesn't ruin the movie. It's what makes it feel off is when something happens that doesn't feel right for the story or the character.
Yeah.
And I think, like, knowing he's gonna die at some point because he's not there, for even if you knew that from the beginning, like that's not the issue. I think the issue is
character.
that his character like wouldn't have done that. I guess it's like didn't seem
and really the only thing,
get caught off guard like that.
No, for sure, because, and I'm trying to think, like, the only way I could really even justify it is I guess he's so happy to be there now that he's not on guard anymore, because he just killed basically everyone. I don't know, like he's not thinking, or completely forgot about, and then he's just
that character in the story. What would you say is
McGuire, Jude Law's character?
Yeah, Jude Law's was added for the film.
Okay.
So he was not in the graphic novel.
Okay. So the graphic novel probably ended in a better way then.
I don't know, but because I doubt they changed it that the dad died.
No, I'm sure that's
so he probably died differently in some way.
Yes.
because
I do like that they added McGuire though.
no, and
I like
the guy that wrote the graphic novel said he thought that was a good addition.
Yes.
To add some pressure and tension on them moving on their journey on the road,
Mm-hmm.
to have to be someone that's kind of chasing them a little bit, and so I think it does help for that, and it's not a bad decision. Just thought it was interesting. So if he's the one that ended up at the end, then how's the graphic novel end? Is
right? And it's really just that part, because then I still think the ending is good, and even like the last lines that the kid says, I think are really good too. Right before it like fades out to credits.
Yes.
So it's really just that small section, because even how, I know we're just talking about the end now, but that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Because even the way they do it to where his son obviously can't pull the trigger, and then his dad ends up killing him. Like, I thought all that was good too. It's just the one moment, like you're talking about, where he's walking in, and they linger on the shot so long too of him staring out. You're like, okay, this is
right. You're like,
you know
something's gonna happen, and then you're like, something's gonna happen.
Also, it's funny because it's like a white room. And you're like, all right, there's gonna be some blood that's gonna show up in this white room. Yeah, but that was really the only part, because I still think it still ended well.
So the other thing, like I said, it was an interview with the writer of the graphic novel talking about the movie.
Okay.
He said one of the things that was different was the kid actually did end up killing somebody. Now, he didn't say if it was at the end scene, but he did pull the trigger on somebody in the graphic novel.
Okay.
And then the thing that they changed that he didn't like was they had him be a boy when he's doing the narration. And in the graphic novel, he's actually a grown man because he's a priest. So because he becomes a priest.
Okay.
And of course, that part wasn't in there because you don't see him as an adult.
I think I agree. It would be better if the voiceover was
Adult.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was just like interesting things that they changed. It.
Yeah. So some of the other. Let me see. Yeah, I only got a couple more because the rest of these are going to go into cinematography and score. I really liked in the pretty early on when John and Michael do their piano duet.
Yeah.
That was a really good scene.
Yes.
Also, because I always point this out, they actually were playing, which is always a plus for me. And it's just a good scene because of how much was going on in that, and then they started that and it's just complete silence except for what they're doing. It's also a moment for them because this plays heavily into what is Daniel Craig's character's name? That one I don't remember. Because John is Tom Hanks,
Connor,
and Michael is Paul Newman. Connor. Right. Okay.
Connor Rooney and John Rooney.
Oh, wait. Right. So Tom Hanks is Michael.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Sullivan.
Yeah. John Rooney is Paul Newman then.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You see that dynamic. This is a very, very big Godfather type thing is what I was talking about. Right. Because he's the favorite. Right. But and he's obviously like that's the scene where you see it the most, even from the beginning with them at the piano.
Yeah. And I thought so. It's again, that part. You felt that, like, to me, when I was watching it, like, you felt that dynamic. You felt the connection between Paul Newman and Tom Hanks characters.
Yes,
Michael and John.
Michael and John. Yeah.
Yeah, like that stuff. I thought that was great. And so I think it was like started out I was like, oh, I'm liking this, and then just I don't know, but one of my favorite scenes, though, was when they're sitting there at like the restaurant diner. No, and
not the meeting. Okay,
and it's the dad, Michael Sr. and Michael Jr. and they're sitting there eating.
Oh yes,
and he asks him, "When am I get my cut?"
Yeah, that was good.
And he's like, "All right, how much you want?" Love that scene.
That was so good. Yeah.
Love
He's like,
that
I don't
scene.
know, 200. He's like, all right.
Okay, done. And then he's like, and the amount of the whole thing. I mean, it's like one take.
Yep.
Like it's all like,
It's perfect how long he waits too.
and he waits a while,
Yeah.
and then it's like, and he's like, wait,
It's like I should have asked
I
for
should
more.
have for more.
Right? Yeah.
He's like, you'll never know.
Yep.
And I just
That was a really good scene.
love that.
I
scene.
didn't even have that written down, but yeah, that's great.
Love that scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just.
Yeah, that was good. The other one, let me see.
And then Stanley Tucci with hair.
That's a note I had. That's I was just gonna say that. It's weird seeing Stanley Tucci with hair.
Yeah.
How often does? Yeah, he's always bald. Like, I'm trying to think of another movie I've seen him where he has hair. I can't think of it.
Yeah. It's got to be a wig.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it did look like a wig.
It's got
Yeah,
to be a wig.
yeah,
Which is fine, but I'm just like,
yeah. It's so weird. Yeah,
'cause I'm sure he's bald and he shaves the rest just because
Yeah.
he's bald, and
Right.
that's why you see him like that. But and it's not like this. It was like movie was like 40 years ago, and he maybe
No.
had hair.
right. It is funny because I think that was one of the times when I was watching it, Claudia walked by and because she's a big Stanley Tucci guy, and she's like, man, he's one of the few actors that looks better bald. And I was like, yeah, it's also because it's what you're used to. But it is weird, yeah, seeing him with hair. He was still great in this though. He's a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was in Lioness, right?
Was he?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because he was in something else recently that was similar to Lioness. There's that big Amazon show. I know he was in that.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Citadel.
Citadel.
That's what it's
But
called.
I only watched a little bit of that.
Stanley Tucci's in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember him in.
Maybe I'm thinking of Citadel.
Lioness,
Even though I
though.
only watched I haven't watched that much of it, but that might be what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't see him on here. I should have looked him up. So, but yeah. Anyway,
It's probably you're probably thinking of someone else that does look like him. That's in. Are you thinking of the guy from House of Cards? Because he's in Lioness.
Yeah, he is. You're right.
He looks a little bit like Stanley Tucci.
Yeah. Anyway.
I also just wanted to, because again, we were talking about every actor in this is very good, but I wanted to mention two people in particular, Paul Newman being one of them. Like, I mean,
Right.
there's a reason why he was one of the biggest actors, and like still in this movie, I'm like, man, he is so good in this, especially that scene at the end where they're in the
in the basement of the
Yes.
the Catholic Church. Yeah.
I couldn't remember where that was. Yeah, it was in the basement. Yeah. Yeah, he's so good in this. And then honestly, I was very surprised by Jude Law because it's such a different character for him,
Yeah.
right? Even though a couple years before this was Talented Mr. Ripley.
Oh, right.
I
Right,
mean,
he was
he
in
played. It was a little different in that, but he was great in that too. But I just liked how he was so weird in this, and he played it very well though. Like he's such a strange character because like his hair for one, and then his yellow teeth. He has long fingernails, and his voice too. Like everything about him was just like like they purposely made him like as gross and weird as possible looking for
Right.
this. And it was, and it made sense for who he was. Like, he's taking pictures of the dead, right? And well, he says that to Tom Hanks.
Yes.
He's like, I shoot dead people. Or no, how does he say it? And then he's like, well, they're already dead or whatever. Like,
yeah. When he
or
first
something
meets
like
him,
that. Yeah.
In the diner.
In the diner. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So he was really
Yeah.
good because it's such a different character.
Yeah.
For Jude Law.
Yeah, I agree. And I had a note about it. I thought it was interesting that like both him and Stanley Tucci's characters, we don't even meet them till like halfway through the film.
Yeah.
It's like
Pretty far in.
almost like an hour in, and then
Mm-hmm.
before we even meet them.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of wish we got a little bit more of both of them.
Yeah.
Because even, I mean, Jude Law's in it more, but still not a whole lot.
No.
Yeah. And again, that could be. I always try to look up. Sometimes I forget though, but I always try to look up deleted scenes on YouTube
Right.
and just see like what they cut.
What they ended up cutting, yeah.
Yeah, because
I feel it's interesting. So there's a lot of time, same time period, but like these movies are all like right at 2 hours. Both these two, they're like all the Edgar Wright's movies that we were covering before, are right at 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like is that like the studios are just being like, no, you can't go over 2 hours.
Yeah.
But then now,
yeah,
because these were like a little while ago, like 20 years ago. Now it's like, yeah, you want to do a 4-hour movie? Sure, go ahead.
The best thing is, which I can't wait for, that Ridley Scott's like, yeah, I'm doing a 4-hour version of Napoleon.
Yeah.
That's not the one they released, but still, he's like, yeah, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, awesome.
Director's cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's the pros of streaming where they can release.
Yeah.
We were talking about the what's Zack Snyder's new movie on
Rebel Moon.
Rebel Moon. There's going to be a PG-13 and an R version released on Netflix.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, and so because you can.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, yeah,
Get
when
more
you're
people in. Yeah.
in a theater, you gotta pick something. You got to make decisions. But like, if you're just dropping something on streaming,
well,
you can have alternate versions. It's just all released at the same time.
I know that is cool, and also with that one, it's interesting because he filmed both movies right together.
Yeah, because another one comes out a couple months later.
Yeah. So like, man, that's had to have been such
There's
a long
also
shoot.
like you can do, like they've done that. Like,
we already have the funding ready for it and the scripts and everything.
But then because you want to space them out in the theater,
it's a good way to do it. Because also for getting all the cast right.
Right. Yeah, it's cheaper in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
It's cheaper in the long run
to
do it to do it all at once. But like to make money in the theaters, you got to space them out. But if you don't care about that and you're just dropping things on streaming, then you can just have a couple months and then like, okay, here's the next one.
See, and that was my biggest issue with when they were filming Dune, because whoever it was it Sony? No, for HBO. Forget. We were talking about this. Warner Brothers. Yes. Them like basically at first being like, well, we'll see how part 1 does. And it's like, I wish you could have just done both at one time, filming all of it.
Yeah.
And then he still could have waited plenty of time between to release both halves
but
both.
At the same time, he's still got to make it. So,
and he's still got, it's insane how many people are already in that movie, and he got everyone to come back and even more.
Yeah.
Like, but he's one of those directors too.
Yeah. I mean, just imagine these films are good and
he's at that level now. Yeah. I think that a lot of actors want to work with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this movie. I think that was the last kind of like story note I had was about just the interesting introducing those key characters, but like halfway through the movie, like of Stanley Tucci and Jude Law.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the one other one I wanted to mention was Ciarán Hinds was the one I was mentioning, that he's the one that gets shot in the beginning.
Who was he? Which role was he? Right at the beginning, he got shot.
Yeah.
The one that they had the wake for, like the first wake for.
So the one that gets shot in the
that the kid sees.
Yes.
Okay.
That's who it is.
So where was he in Game of Thrones?
He was I forget his name because there's so many character names in Game of Thrones, but he was the leader of the wildlings outside the wall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was in it a decent amount.
Yeah. Okay.
But he he's great. He was in The Terror on AMC the first season, which is a really good season. That show, they do different stories for each season. But he's in a few other he's in something new. What was it? Oh, he's in a show called Ken on AMC Plus that is awesome. It's an Irish show though, but what's cool is it's him and what's his name? The guy that is Daredevil in Marvel.
Oh,
I know.
yeah. Charlie Cox.
Charlie Cox, yeah, he's in it too. It's great. Yeah, so it's just all Irish actors. But no, it's really cool. Like crime show. It's just another one that's good that like is hard to see because no one has AMC Plus, which is annoying. But yeah. So anyway, so yeah, he's not in this movie much, but that's it for like story stuff. Yeah. What the rest I have is for other stuff.
All right, so let's
what about I was trying to think of this because you normally ask this like character wise, like best or favorite character.
Who's your favorite character in the
in
the movie?
Because I'm gonna have to think about it.
And you can go, and I always feel like it's like, either kind of take it two routes, right? Like I think we were last week, kind of some people that weren't thinking it like, which is your favorite performance,
right?
Or do you actually like the character? Like, because like Lester,
it's two different things.
Lester last week was like, I mean, do I like him as a person? That character? No, the guy's crazy. but as far as the performance, that was like my favorite performance. I think with this, I don't have to get to the kid.
Yeah,
there's like I just know to be able to do that at that age, to be able to do that kind of performance at that age, that's
no,
the crazy thing I was looking up. He didn't do much more after this.
Well, he's now Superman on CW. That's the big thing he is now. Yeah.
That's who he is.
But I mean, those shows aren't that good. But yeah, that's his big thing now. But no, I don't think he did much before that. I'm trying to think.
I just went back to school.
Yeah, sure.
Living off the checks from.
That's right. I think I'll have to agree though. Yeah, because he did very well in this. And yeah, did he do anything before this? Like, because you say he didn't do much after.
I don't think he did anything before.
Wow.
I have to look it up again.
Yeah.
But like
that's even more impressive is he just did this one movie and he did it that well.
Yeah, it's he I mean again, Tom Hanks, Stanley, like they're good performances, but like I feel like I've seen better performances from Tom Hanks.
Definitely Tom Hanks this is not his best performance.
No. Not bad in any way. Not bad though. But like
I did think Daniel Craig his voice or accent was a little weird in this.
Again, well, I've seen him in better stuff too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's also interesting to think because this was before he was cast as James Bond, and then Sam Mendes gets to work with him again later.
It is awesome.
But yeah, and then same with so the kid. I'm going back. This probably wasn't the best way to do this, but I was like, oh, I'm already on Stanley Tucci. I'll just go here. Find him.
That's the only thing is Superman is kind of what he's doing now.
He was in Teen Wolf maybe.
Okay.
Oh, maybe I'm looking at the wrong. I was looking at the other kid. Because he's done a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Yes, I was thinking the other kid that
Hall Pass.
So, and you did a little bit beforehand. Looks like Disney thing, Family Tree, Train Quest, and then Road to Perdition.
So was he another one of those Disney kids?
He was on some Disney sing-along songs, Happy Haunting Party at Disneyland.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk a little more about the cinematography. First of all, I'm just gonna say, like, you can definitely also actually both, like, you can tell it's the same people that did American Beauty. Like, so tonal wise, no. Lighting wise, no, because you're doing it very different to feel very different. Yes. But composition, there was a lot of, like, again, a lot of that symmetry stuff he was doing in American Beauty, he did again in this, and stuff. So, but there were still differences, like we were talking about some of the like having a much wider aperture, so that the depth of field is much more pronounced, so that there's a lot of things out of focus and in focus, and things like that. Again, a lot of wide shots, like letting stuff play out in wide shots. Like that was something he did a lot in American Beauty as well, and did in this as well.
Yes.
But what do you have in the?
Well,
You said you had some still
to start. Yeah, to start with, what you're mentioning about lighting. The lighting really stood out to me.
Yeah.
In this movie, especially the lighting in the scenes in the rain.
Yeah.
Was like perfect.
What's also interesting about it, the lighting in this, I would say, is there's a sense of harshness that you don't of like harsher contrast that you don't see nowadays.
Yeah.
Because the trend is to let everything be much softer, even if it's something that's very dark and there's some light points, it'll have a much softer, let's say like softer, like a edge, I guess, on the light. That's the best way to put it. Like instead of it being like a hard edge between light and dark, it'll be a much like softer edge between the light and dark.
Okay. Yeah, because there's a lot of shadows too.
Like think about The Batman, like the movie more recently, which is also a very dark movie, but it doesn't look
very good cinematography though.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah. That thing's beautiful, but but it doesn't look
but
like
it's different.
Doesn't look like this from a. So, anyway, just something to note that.
Yeah, that
I think it's kind of it's. I would say it's probably coming from his background of like way he did things for so long.
Yeah.
Right. Being that he was a kind of old school, I guess, basically cinematographer. Whereas like I guess best was like Roger Deakins doesn't make stuff look like that. As an example.
No.
And so, and I think a lot of modern things now that try to be beautifully lit and shot, kind of tries to lean towards more of that style that Deakins is. I mean, I don't want to say he's pioneered it, but like that.
He's one of the best at it.
That people, that take inspiration from like his work maybe, and others maybe they've done that. But it was just something that I noticed when I watched it. It's what made it feel dated, but it works because it's a pure piece anyway.
Yes.
So I don't know. It might have been intentional even, but like it was one of the things that it was still noticeable in American Beauty as well, though. Like it was a little bit harsher.
But American Beauty didn't look really old.
No, well, because there wasn't as much of a heavy contrast, right?
True.
You weren't putting stuff in deep shadow as well, but when I saw the lighting, it wasn't also like not a super, again, like Deakins would do, like a super like soft transition in the lighting. Anyway, just something I'm noticing. That and I don't know if it's trends or just like what people prefer, or if it's just
it's probably a lot of it has to do with who they're drawing inspiration from, like you said. Yeah. Because I don't think there's any like certain, like you said, trend or like right now, in like new movies. Like I don't think a lot of them. Well, I shouldn't say that. It depends on the kind of movie. Like superhero movies, a lot of them do all look the same. Although, again, the Batman very different.
Yeah.
But so I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them have a very similar feel. But they're very similar in a lot of ways, not just the way they're shot.
Yes.
But yeah, so the lighting was a big thing in this for me. But the what was it? Well, I have two scenes I wanted to mention specifically with the cinematography.
Okay.
But besides that, just another overall is I noticed there's a lot of shots in this that were just focusing on a character's face and expression and with no dialogue. And I thought this goes into probably both the directing and the actors, but every time they did that and they would hold on a face, I knew exactly how they were feeling without having to say anything.
Yeah.
Which I think is not always easy to do in movies. So, and I thought every time I could do it, because there is a lot of shots in this I've noticed that were that way.
Yeah, because there's there's very minimal dialogue.
True. Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll just say besides, I do have one specific scene that was my favorite, but I'll let you get to yours. But I just want to, before we get into those, I just thought it was also interesting that they, especially early on, noticed that they're really keeping Michael, Tom Hanks' character, like kind of more in the shadow.
Yes.
Like almost like the mystery of him, and like because like the kid didn't know what his dad did, and they kind of played into that, like even visually with that. And then not like they kind of let off on it as he kind of discovered it. And which also, because there was how's it say, it's like as a father, he was having to, assuming the wife kind of at least had an idea of what he did, but she might not even know exactly what he did, but
probably not. Yeah, probably just an idea. Yeah.
But the kids, he's like basically like not lying, but like basically, not being able to tell them what he does, right? And especially having two boys, like you'd want to talk about your career and have them excited, except for you don't, because if you have this kind of career,
not that career,
and obviously he doesn't. I mean, I think at least the movie kind of says this later, like, so I assume even then he didn't want his kids to end up in the same career as he was. So you kind of keep it from him, but then once the facade is gone, it does allow them to bond more.
Yeah, because
then he can be open and honest and transparent with his kid, and actually be able to like have a little bit more of a real relationship, because he couldn't do that because he's always keeping them at a distance, because he couldn't really truly share who he was with his own kids.
For sure.
But anyway, so.
Well, that was a lot of what I was basically going to say about the
deeper meaning.
Yeah, I mean, but that's
yeah. Okay.
No,
sorry.
that was. I mean, that was basically the whole father and son thing. Which one do I want to say?
So yeah, what's your?
Yeah, there was two shots. Well, I'll do the second one first, because this would be my number two.
Okay.
Number one is I'll say this, but
see if you have the same one. Or
maybe. So the one, and actually this goes into score a little bit too, but towards the end of the movie, when basically everyone's getting gunned down in the rain, and there's no, it's just the piano score. No,
no, you don't hear
no audio at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't hear the sound of the natural sound of the things happening.
Yep. And another great shot with the lighting too. Like I said, any of the shots when it's raining, that's my second favorite shot, was that scene. And then number one is when they're at the meeting. You know what I'm talking about?
At the meeting.
And everyone gets up.
At the
toward the beginning.
Yeah, they're they're around the the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what I was going to talk about with Rack Focus. I don't know if this is exactly what they're doing or not. Yeah. You'll have to let me know. But yeah, everyone gets up and slow pushing on Daniel Craig's face, but then focuses on
them walking away, his arms around him. Yeah.
But then shifts back to him afterwards. That was so cool.
Yeah.
That's my number one.
Yeah, that was a good shot. And yes, it would be Rack focusing back and forth from the
that wasn't your
no.
Okay.
So my favorite shot, my favorite like cinematic type shot, was them the first time approaching Chicago with the kid, and he's asleep in the car, and you see his face.
Yeah,
you start to see his face, and the camera starts from the front, seeing into the car, and it slowly starts panning around, and you see his face, but you also start to see the city and the reflection of the car. But then it pans all the way around to then reveal the city as they go across the bridge. Yeah, and I thought that was a really cool shot.
That is really good too. Yeah,
and I was like, oh, I gotta rewind this and watch that again.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Also, that shot. Yeah, when you do see the city, I was trying to see like, I'm like, all right, how much is this? Like, where is it cut off? And it's like a either green screen or whatever. And I couldn't really tell. And but it all looked like period appropriate.
I think they they definitely shot it.
Because normally for like those extended, right, for shots like that, they usually at some point it's right. They'll do like a small part of it.
They shot it on location. Because I was reading about it. But they had to.
They would have to change so much then.
they just changed out the background, yeah, for what they need to.
Yeah.
Like change up some things and clean it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were talking about they shot it down one of the streets. I mean, they might have put green screen, but the reason because that scene there weren't enough tall buildings where the natural reflection would happen, so they did have to film some. They filmed on a different street some shots to get with the same like rig so that they would have the same reflections in the kid, and they composited in post to add like so there was more tall buildings in the reflection than really were on that street. But that's because they shot it really on the street that it's on.
That's still really impressive, especially for 2002 to make it look that good on. Because I did not realize that.
Well, I didn't either. I mean, I just assumed it was real until I read the article about it. But
wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, it's
So this guy. Well, I need to look him up too. Then, like, what are some of the old? Well, you said, or no, was that the screenwriter? I'm talking about the cinematographer, the DP,
Butch Cassidy.
Butch Cassidy. Okay,
yeah, he DP'd that.
Yeah.
But that was like a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. But yeah, I'd imagine that's probably one of his biggest then. But yeah, I'm going to have to look into it and see.
He's got it on the map, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's done a stuff. Like it was like a long list.
Yeah. And also, I don't remember that movie, but wasn't Paul Newman in that too?
Oh, I don't know.
Way back then? Because that would be crazy if that was a.
Well, you imagine like if you did that many movies,
I'm sure he worked with,
He's worked with them before.
Yeah.
But
that seems like an old Paul Newman movie anyway, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah, so soundtrack and
score. Yeah. Yep, my dude Thomas Newman again. Yeah, I'm wondering when he definitely did a lot of Sam Mendes' movies, so I'm wondering which ones he will be using someone else. But I mean, this is another. I only have like one big point about it, but I mean, it's another just great score. I mean, we went through all of his movies last time that he did. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. I can hear it though. Like, I mean, that's why it's cool doing this with directors, but then also interesting even because it's common that the directors use some of the similar people on the crew. And we've seen that with Denis Villeneuve and Edgar Wright, and now we're seeing the same with Mendes. And so it's interesting to see even those, start to notice their characteristics, right, that they bring to the table. And it was the same with this, like, there was moments where you're like, oh, I can almost hear some of the music from American Beauty.
Yep.
And then when we were talking about it last week, I was like, I started thinking of like Wall-E because I know the music in that because like the sound in that is the dialogue. Like there's no dialogue in that movie practically, and like so and I started like thinking of that music and that score, and I can hear those a little bit and some more in the American Beauty stuff than just like, and you start to be like, oh, okay, I get the style of this guy. Like now that you know it's the same people and you start paying attention, same person. And same with the DP, but. Just why I think it's fun doing this, what we're doing.
It is, yeah. It is cool, yeah, because, and you're definitely right, yeah, there's always, bigger composers like this always have a very distinct, I talk this a lot actually on Film Banter when we go through stuff as well, because it's like they usually have, I don't want to say distinct style because some of these guys can do everything.
Yeah.
So it's more about note choices that they use or certain phrases, because
I mean, to me it's almost like a characteristic.
Yes,
a certain characteristic to the that's not maybe a technical
that's a good way to put it, because it's because like what the example I always think about is with John Williams, he always uses, and it's also has to do with like some composers really like to use specific instruments a lot more. Like John Williams uses specific flutes a lot, but my thing with him is John Williams, his thing is he always uses these very for like a certain phrase of music in every movie he's done. He uses these specific triplets in a phrase, and every time I hear, I'm like, I know it's him at this point. And so I notice with certain Hans Zimmer has the same kind of thing. They'll use like a specific, like you said, a characteristic or like certain notes or a phrase in their scoring, no matter what genre of music they're doing for a film. It's cool. You can start to hear. And he does this with this one too. The main melody I wanted to mention was, it's mostly when they're starting to actually like journey or on the road. Obviously it has like a specific feel of like you're on like a journey, but what's so cool about it is every time he goes into this melody, you feel this kind of journey between the father and son on this road, but then every once in a while you'll get these subtle note choices that give it an unsettling or uncertainty too,
right?
Which is perfect for how. So like, I mean, this just proves why he's one of the best composers, or he's up there pretty high as one of the best, because that was one of my favorite parts of the score. He did that perfectly with basically the whole second half of the movie. He does that a lot with a lot of the cues in that section. So that was my main takeaway with this one.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, thought it was good. I don't dissect it as normally as much as you do, but cool. So themes and messages. So what were you gonna say about?
I mean, you pretty much covered. I was just gonna say it's a father and son story essentially, but not only with them, but obviously with Paul Newman's character and Tom Hanks, right? Because Paul Newman's basically like Tom Hanks' adoptive father, right? Yeah. But his son is actually Daniel Craig, right? That's his
son.
Yeah. So that whole dynamic, which again, goes back to the whole Godfather thing. Like all those dynamics is what made me think of it the most. So I think that's the core of it is, I mean, there's other things with this movie too, but that's so traditional father and son, but also father and son in other situations too, I think is a big thing with this movie in general. And I guess also, like you were talking about, like saying this is Road to Redemption. I mean, it kind of is. Like, you know, even though it's Perdition, they talk about the town.
Yes.
Perdition, but it kind of has that play on words because that redemption is a big thing in this as well.
Yeah. And I think so. I mean, I guess they never really confirmed that, right? Because like the line at the end where he's like, if people ask me if my father was a good man or a bad man or whatever, it says he's like, I just say, they say his name, Michael Sullivan, was ever a good man or a bad man. He's like, no, he was my father.
Yeah, I just say he was my dad or my father, which when he pauses right before that, I was like, he's going to say my father. And he said it. Like, I knew he was going to end with that. I was like, that was good though. But
So, I guess as a movie, they don't ever commit to saying he was redeemed and become a good character, right? But, I was gonna say the other thing I think is like it's like him getting his son out of the career, because I mean that's the thing, like horrible events of losing his wife and his other kid getting killed, but then that triggered this to happen, which then probably led to his son that was alive, Michael Jr., to actually have another different life. Because if that wouldn't have happened and they would have stayed where they were, both kids probably would have grown up and just been part of the business. Yeah. So it's like almost like redemption, or not redemption is not even the right word, but like just like it's what broke the cycle and like got him into, so that then the son could become something else. And like I talked about earlier, in the graphic novel, he became a priest.
Yeah.
The movie, they don't go that far with it because they keep him as a kid. But, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, I guess it's a generation change, right? From his father. Yeah. I mean, I was gonna let you go with this anyway, since you are actually a father, so you can speak on all this more than I can with that whole concept in general, father-son thing, because that is, I imagine. I mean, I don't know. Is there anything else to this? That is the biggest part of it.
I kind of spoiled it earlier, but
exactly.
But yeah, I just can't imagine. I just kind of was like, I can't imagine not being able to share with my kids what I do and how I provide for the family. And like, I mean, like Lucas even, enjoys doing it and does like what I want. And so imagine like you doing something you were ashamed of deep down and didn't want your kids to even know, and didn't want them to do what you're doing because it's not good, So, and then of course, like I said, then walling yourself off, you could never really be as close as you would be, right? If you're living a lie.
Yeah. And it's also that time period. It's like most fathers weren't really
right. They weren't
really much involved with their kids anyway.
They were expected just to make, and the mom was expected to raise the kids.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah. With the whole family, not just the kids. Yeah. Not really involved with their wives either.
True.
Yeah.
True. What about, we don't have trivia, do we?
Oh, right. Yeah. You want
to look it up and see.
I always just like go through, because there's usually a ton. We'll just see which ones are the best, because there's usually a whole section. Yeah. Because there's going to be more on that.
Oh. Trivia. How do you... Oh, here we go.
Yeah, and there'll be a lot in there. Just kind of pick and choose. I don't think they're ever sorted in any way.
No. After success of American Beauty, Sam Mendes was the flavor of Hollywood and was sent all the top scripts. Some of these included A Beautiful Mind,
okay,
K-Pax, The Shipping News. He was attracted to Road to Perdition because it was a film of few words, something of a change after the wordy screenplay of American Beauty.
Okay, yeah.
All right, here you go. The piano piece that Paul Newman and Tom Hanks play at the opening funeral was performed by them, as you said. Yeah.
I didn't recognize the tune though, but it was cool. I liked it a lot. I don't know if it was actually something.
Yeah. They didn't say.
Yeah. Who wrote it?
It says the movie is loosely based on actual events and a real enforcer for mobster John Looney, who was portrayed by him. Sam Mendes confessed that Paul Newman walked on his hands between takes to amuse the crew on set. That's funny. Even at that,
I was saying, what? At that age, geez.
Man. The movie was dedicated to cinematographer Conrad Hall as his final feature film, and he won an Oscar. We kind of talked about that. The iconic shot of Sullivan's car driving into Chicago involved 120 period cars on a quiet Sunday morning on Chicago's main thoroughfare. Like I said, it was shot on location.
Yeah, man. Well, there you go. There's your $80 million budget. Also, a lot of that too.
Yeah. In order to court Paul Newman to appear in the film, Sam Mendes paid the actor a visit at his apartment. The first thing Newman said to him when he opened the door to Mendes was, "Jesus, you're young." Because how was he when I don't know how old he was when he did this movie, but yeah, it was. I mean, if he just got started because he just done American Beauty, 2 years prior.
Yeah, for sure.
He said Tucci doesn't generally he likes to avoid roles in gangster movies due to stereotypes. However, the prospect of working with Sam Mendes was enough for him to reconsider.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing is like going forward, just like with some of these other directors we've talked about, especially like Villeneuve, it's like, and Sam Mendes right away because he just like just destroyed it right out of the park in the first movie.
Yeah,
like so many actors, it'll be cool to see, who all he gets for all these other movies coming up.
this is says one day when cinematographer Conrad Hall was setting up a shot of Paul Newman, Hall looked through his viewfinder and began to cry. When asked what was wrong, he just said, "He was so beautiful. He was so beautiful." This is the final live-action feature film for both Hall and Newman before their respective deaths. They had worked together several times before, most notably Cool Hand Luke in 1967.
Oh, okay. So this was his final
Oh yeah, for Paul Newman as well. Yeah,
live. Okay, so he did like voiceover, I guess, after this or something.
just said live-action feature film.
Man.
Tom Hanks' son, Chet Hanks, has said this is his favorite performance of his dad. In every one of my dad's films, I can see him. He's being himself, but that role is the farthest from his normal self out of any of his movies.
I mean,
I could see that. Yeah,
he is very different in this,
Yeah.
but it's not his best performance. No, I mean that is true though. A lot of Tom Hanks performances, he's doing the Tom Hanks thing, So that's what his son's basically saying. Like, this one's very different than like the typical Tom Hanks performance. Yeah.
The diner where Tom Hanks and Jude Law meet was bought on the internet by the production designer for $20,000. So just bought it
For filming or
Yes.
afterwards? Oh, okay.
I
Wow.
think they just bought it because it was a production designer. But he's probably just
Yeah,
like,
sure. Yeah.
instead of building this, let's just buy
Nice.
this random.
I mean, if that's cheaper,
It might be.
yeah. Why not?
Yeah. I mean, originally set for a Christmas award release until Mendes asked for more time. Instead, Road to Perdition came out in 2002, was released in summer of 2002 in the middle of a blockbuster season.
Yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, people would know him already.
Right.
Because I'm sure it was advertised as like the director of American Beauty,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, if you didn't feel like it was ready.
Sure, yeah.
All right, any other final thoughts?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. It was a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I liked it more than you.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
This is good. I always like it when it's like different.
Yeah.
Although like our last one with American Beauty, it's like we all loved it so much, but still was a good conversation. But it's always good. Like, what was the one we did where you like, oh, it was Hot Fuzz. You hated that one. Well, not hate it, but you really didn't like it.
Well, I think.
I mean, I didn't like it as much either.
I think there was like a nostalgia there for Claudia
Yes.
that why she, and so then there was a contrast there, which let us like.
Yeah, and there's gonna be movies for all of us that are that way. Yeah,
for sure.
They were gonna be like, no, I like this, but
it
it's
doesn't
the
hold up.
nostalgia. Mhm.
Then it doesn't hold up. Like it's but
Yeah, no, nostalgia
So,
plays a big thing.
this
in a
next
lot of
movie,
Mhm.
Jarhead.
Yep,
I have no idea what this is either.
it's a war movie. I think something with the Gulf War, or something.
Don't know.
All I know is Jake Gyllenhaal. That's all I know.
Our
I don't
boy
know who
from-
else. Yeah, he's great.
From Denny's movies.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know who else is in it. I'm sure there's a lot of other people that he got in it too.
I'm sure. Yeah. All right.
Well, that's good. That's so another one we both haven't
seen.
Yeah, nice.
And maybe we'll have a guest, or I don't know who we'll have next week.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, again, if you want to let us know what your thoughts on this movie or any other thoughts on stuff we've talked about in prior episodes, just email us at feedback@screentimepod.com or leave a comment on the YouTube channel. And Speaking of YouTube, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and or follow us on Instagram, or not Instagram. Follow us and subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast, and give us a 5-star. And if you'd like to follow us on Instagram, you can. My name on there is Jay Youngbar.
And I'm at Jared Youngbar.
All right. And we'll talk to you guys next week.